Jess from Knockout Print Shop. Happy New Year. I know it has been quite a while since I've done a video, and I will chat about that a bit, but what I wanted to do in today's video was basically look back over 2021 and see how I did with my goals and make this video about reflecting on those goals and seeing the progress that I made from the beginning to the end of the year. And that will help me that way I can show you in the next video how I went about setting up my goals for 2022. So I used the Makselife planner last year. So here's the deal. Started off 2021 in my Makselife planner. I don't remember. I think this is the horizontal. I don't even remember. It's been kind of a weird year. Good, but weird for the most part. Good. Oh, this is the vertical. So I must have started off in the vertical, yes, I did, in the beginning of 2021. And then I went to the horizontal, but when I was going through this process, I realized that I had used the vertical to do my goal setting. So basically, how this year went is I started off, you can see I went through this past year, 2021, went through, did my thing, did my compass, went through all of that, sat down, wrote out some goals. And in the beginning of the year, I was, you can see, like doing weekly action steps, doing my weekly reflections. I was like really into my goals. And then I would say about 6 months in, I just kind of fell off of planning and I fell off of focusing on goals in like a pen and paper intentional way. I find that even though I enjoy setting goals in a planner or on paper, I also am the type of person that if there's something in my mind that I'm working on or want to do, I'm doing it regardless, typically, for the most part, of having it written down. I've often, even when I was younger and didn't even in my 20s and stuff, I didn't even use a planner actively. I would write stuff on paper and like put it in my underwear drawer and then later randomly come upon it and be like, oh my God, I did all these things. So I don't know if it's the magic of pen and paper or just focusing on what's important in a day-to-day life or whatever. So welcome back, I'm rambling. So I started off good, and I'm not saying that you have to my whole point is, guys, you don't have to use a goal planner to get things done. For many of us, it's very nice. We all use it to a different degree. Some of us need to be in this planner or a journal or something daily, weekly, monthly. Some people can just write down some stuff, maybe reference it at some point, and just that writing that initial time down helps them orient their thinking and their habits. So goal set however works for you. But yeah, I was like really into goal setting, and then I think just life started to kind of amp up, I guess, and I just fell away from planning, weekly planning and goal planning. I will talk through actually some of the goals being achieved is what resulted in me having to, I don't know, intentionally or unintentionally kind of step away from goal setting. Okay, I think that's a long enough 3-minute intro of welcome back to Jess Ramblings. But here we go. So this was last year, 2021, did my compass. And for the most part, I feel pretty blessed that in the, my 20 years of adulthood, I'm 41, that I've made a lot of progress in most areas of my life being very fulfilling and very much so where I want them to be after many years of that not being the case. So I'm in a good place with most categories in life. So last year, this was my assessment. And for the most part, you could see it looks good, right? Good meaning like, I don't know what feels good to me in the higher numbers of the range of 1 to 10. Most of these things are pretty darn close to 10. My biggest challenge category typically is fun and recreation. So I'm actually going to show you some of the 2022 planner, at least the goal setting section, to make this reflection make a bit more sense. So I remember going into this last year and really focusing on my areas of improvement needed to be on resting. Like that is my biggest challenge. I really enjoy working. I enjoy working on our property. We have a small farm and we have to do a lot of land clearing and stuff for our animals. And with that added piece to life that's made it even harder to rest. So kind of what I wanted to do for 2021 was, one of the things was rest more. You can see need time off. Matt and I are horrible at taking time off, rest more. So I had made these notes about what I needed to do, just things like calming my mind, less worry. But for the most part, all the areas of life were in a way where things were automated and in maintenance mode and doing well. So these scores felt pretty good. And that was essentially my focus, was to maybe take some time off and rest more. And then also, I've just been in this perpetual, if you've watched my past videos, you know, since we left Chicago in 2018 and I closed my gym and then I was solely doing the print shop with Matt, that I've been in this weird space of like work just not feeling fulfilling and not aligned with my strengths and things like that. Not that I don't like the print shop, but there was just something missing when I closed my gym. So this year of 2021 was really figuring out where I could put my efforts, because I didn't need to be doing the print shop full time. After doing that for a couple of years, I realized that like I needed to have a job as well, or some other thing going on. So this is where I was at the beginning of last year. So then if I show you the reflection and comparison, and like I said, I'll do a goal setting video of for 2022 next after this video. Okay, so let me see. I'm trying to get this in frame. Okay, so here's the first 4 categories compared. So 2021, 2022. For the most part, in personal, I essentially stayed the same. I went down like a tiny bit, it looks like. Oh, no, I didn't. So here's what I did. You're going to see 2 scores on here. I score myself literally by myself, and then I go and sit down and Matt and I have like this coffee date goal setting thing. And I ask him what he would rate me on, because I just feel like sometimes it's hard to see yourself from an outsider's perspective. So I like to compare who I see him almost 24 hours a day, feels what he would rate me. And then I kind of like decide which number I'm going with, basically. So actually, no. Once I talked with him, I actually did bump it up to almost a 10, and it was a 9.75. So I think the biggest area improvement for me was when last year I'd said, oh, well, I give myself with grades with limits and imperfections, and I gave myself a 9. He's like, no, you're too hard on yourself. You give yourself a 7. I'm giving you a 7. Well, this year I actually docked myself a point, because with this whole farming thing, I feel like because it's such a new venture that I don't know things, and I feel like I'm harder on myself for when things don't go the way I want them to or whatever. And so I docked myself at 8, but he gave me a 9. He's like, I actually think you're starting to learn to be better about that. So that was super interesting. Work and learning, I'm going to get back to this one in a second, but work and learning was at an 8. It went up to a 10. I got a job which started off as part-time in June, doing marketing and program coordination for a nonprofit entrepreneur center, which is like so right up my alley. I have a great small team of people I work with, and I get to be involved in my local community, which was really a goal of mine in 2021. And that kind of changed everything. I feel more mentally fulfilled. I feel like I'm doing things aligned with my skills, that my work has value. Just all of these things were like, this was a missing piece. No job is perfect. Obviously, there's good days and bad days. But for the most part, having that piece back in my life that was missing from the gym has really helped so many areas of my life. And that's the thing I think with goals. When you're doing this and things are categorized, it can kind of feel like everything's happening in these little vacuums. But the reality is, when you can really dial in and improve on one area, you will most of the time see improvements in all of the areas. So relationships and family, that's pretty good for me. I actually went down on fun and recreation. So again, you can see in 2021, I wanted to rest more and kind of take time off, and Matt and I sucked even worse at that than we usually do. So, we have the print shop and the farm, and then the second half of the year it was the print shop, the farm, and my job. And we've been doing so much land clearing. We do so much of this manually because we have more time than money, and our bodies have just been beat. We suck at taking time off. We suck at taking time to close the shop and just chill. So we did worse at that. And this is kind of like our combined thing, because we both suck at it and we spend so much time together, enjoy spending so much time together. It's like we both need to help each other be better at this. So that's where I went down. Everything else on these 4 categories I went up. Let's look at the second side. Let's see if I can get this. Okay, so everything here actually was good. let's see. Oh, spiritual and personal growth. I actually went up a little bit. I feel like I'm more at peace and in tune with nature and just spiritually and personally feeling better. That doesn't really tell you anything. That's like not a very clarifying term, but I went up. So there went up, and I think, where did I go up here? So I always feel like I'm better financially, like in a mindset wise, than Matt tells me. Matt doesn't worry about money. I'm a worrier. So he did give me a little boost that I think you're doing a little better with a few of these. So I think this went up a little. This is still, it probably shouldn't be a 10. Probably, Matt would laugh at me and say this is probably an 8 or a 9. But I am starting to get better and feeling more okay financially. We are okay. That's the funny thing is, if you've ever been through financial stress, just like hit a bottom, had a bad financial situation, it's like that lingers with you, that it's going to happen again, even though you've set yourself up for like stability. So having a job has helped. That paycheck, it's the first time in basically my whole adult life that I've gotten 2 paychecks a month. I've always been self-employed, so income's always been variable. So that's helped too. But anyways, so I just wanted to show you that. So if you are going through this process, I think it's really interesting to do this assessment, and then also maybe you have a spouse, a friend, a parent, a loved one also score you. See what they think. See where your scores line up. Are you off? Ask them why they would score you that way. Because again, sometimes our little brains are in denial and we don't want to see things the way they actually are. So sometimes it can help to have that honest, trusting person give you a perspective. And this helps you see where your growth is. Like, so I was glad to have the old planner open after I did this and see where I was. I didn't have this open while I was doing because I didn't want to skew. I wanted to genuinely see the difference. So that is where I was with the assessments. So let's see, let me get this back in frame. Okay, so this intentions page, I don't use it a ton, but I use some of the lines. And a lot of this stuff I found is applicable to this year. So again, you can see a lot of it was like getting rid of worry, putting more rest time in, things like that. But there was things in here that I could use more of in my life that I actually did achieve. I wanted more friends and social time. Getting my job has opened up myself to a lot of social interaction, which I've really needed, in collaboration, and then even income, obviously. So, and we got livestock. So a lot of the more happened. I've gotten a tiny bit better at not worrying, but I think it's just my DNA. I don't know that that's going to ever go away. I think I'm better at wasting time. I do feel like in the past few months, I've still struggled with aimlessly scrolling on social media. I don't even know that I'm getting any value from it most of the time. It feels like a time filler or a distraction for me. And that's something I don't want to get, I'm not wanting to approach this in the new year from essentially like how I used to, where I would limit screen time, although I may need to do that. I think I just need to add something new. So I had said last year I wanted to read. I really got off of that this year with so much work outdoors, but that's going to be a focus for me in the new year. So a lot of this, became more self-sufficient. I'm getting more confident with my skills as far as like farming and those kinds of things. So a lot of that did kind of manifest and did come to be. And I feel like I did grow a lot, especially when it comes to my skills, farming, understanding agriculture, plants, our animals, all kinds of stuff like that. So won't bore you with all the details of that, but that's how that went. So then last year, let's see. I went through last year and used this page to kind of highlight of those categories what things I think I wanted to focus on. I did not do that this year. I used this page as a brain dump. I did not do that this year. Let me just show you really quick a glance of how I handled those pages in this year. Okay, so here, look, I could say I wanted to do this year, I need to focus more on rest. I want to get out and visit more farms again. So same stuff here, worry and screen time, that needs to go down. I picked one habit. This is another thing I've learned this year, is things just have to be good enough, right? So I put that, I will embrace the idea of good enough, because I'm a perfectionist by nature or conditioning, whatever. And when I see 3 spaces, to me in the past, I've been like, oh my God, I didn't pick 3 things. But here's the reality. Last year I picked 3 things and I didn't do any of the 3 things. Well, I did learning and time to think, but I didn't do reading. So like, I don't need to fill this up in order to make this useful. I just want to focus on one thing. I'm the type of person, if I do things just to do them, I will neurotically focus on them or ignore them, clearly, because I didn't do all 3 of those last year. So I needed to make this intentional. Less is more. Really embrace, practice what I preach. And just realizing you don't have to, even with like a social media and our business, I used to be incredibly neurotic. Like the pictures have to be professional. Matt's got to get out the lights and they have to be all nice. And as I got busy with work and we got busy with the shop and with the farm, all of a sudden I was like, I don't even want to get out all this equipment to take the pictures. And I thought, you know what? We got our new iPhones after basically our iPhone 7's not wanting to work anymore. And I could take okay enough pictures and still post them on social media. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm starting to embrace this idea that like good enough. It just has to be good enough. So that's kind of my theme here, but I'll go into that more. But let's see, just to give you a perspective here on what I did. I did not utilize this page. I did not utilize this page. And then we'll talk about my goals in the next video, because this is already getting long. So I don't even know if this is helpful to you guys. As I always say, I'm just rambling. This is kind of like therapeutic for me. So you're just along for the ride if you're still listening. Okay, so let me take a peek at, this is crooked, goals. So I had a lot of goals, but I had them in mainly a few areas. I deemed personal the homestead stuff, our farm. Work was very important. That was more about figuring out my next path, and home. So those are kind of like our 3 areas. The rest to me were more like in maintenance mode. So essentially a lot of my time, energy, money, everything went into our farm. And we got a lot of these things done. Actually, let me grab a pen because I can mark more of these off. I did build, I don't think I had this with me when I went, Matt and I went to coffee, and I had taken pictures of this one so that I could fill in, like him and I could go through what we achieved and I achieved, and then I could use that to fill in the new one. But so I didn't have this with me, but I did build new homesteading skills. I know more about plants and grass and gardening, even though I'm not good at it. We processed our first batch of meat birds. We did not fix the barn. I did start a raised bed garden. Again, not great at it, but I'm learning also with the garden. What I learned was less is more. Quit planting all these things you're not going to eat. Everyone tells you that, but I wanted to plant all the cool things. 2022 garden is going to be only things we eat. We have grew our layer flock. We got a few more birds. We did clean our fence line. We cleared land. Oh my God. Clearing land manually with literally a couple chainsaws, a couple tools, and our ATV with our little cart. I can't even explain to you how sore you can be from working 4 to 8+ hours a day outside, moving trees and doing all of that. We did not end up adding more goats. We did get sheep. We got sheep fencing, possibly add sheep. We did add sheep. We have not yet built a shed. The bees and the dairy cow are still in the future. Sometimes I write goals on here that are beyond annual. They might be long-term goals just because I like to put it on there, and when you look back, let's see what actually happened. So I got a lot of these things done. We got more done as far as land clearing and getting our land situated for a future fence line and more animals and pasture than I ever thought we could have done in a year. It's pretty amazing. Fun and recreation. So let's get back to this little area of life that needs lots of improvement. Our goal when we sat down at coffee in 2021 was we're going to take a 3 to 4 day weekend once a quarter. We literally never did that. We have not left the farm other than maybe to go, a 90-minute drive to get, or 2-hour drive to get livestock feed, or a 90-minute drive to go, because we don't live by any good shopping. We go down to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to go shopping. I mean, that was the extent of getting off the farm for the most part. When we lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we lived in Gallatin, Tennessee, we did a ton of exploring and went to state parks and saw waterfalls and did all of that. And with the farm and spending so much time doing that, which we get a lot of joy from. This stuff has just taken a back seat. So we were going to explore, go to Knoxville, Chattanooga, the Smokies. We didn't do any of that. Matt went to see a few waterfalls, but we have not done any exploring. So this area, still a huge work in progress. So there's that. work and learning made a lot of progress here. So in the beginning of 2021, I really thought my focus was going to be to get gig or contract work. Finding another, in 2020, I worked remote work for a marketing company. I really enjoyed that. I was thinking maybe I would do that again with another company, maybe do some business coaching, kind of got my website, Jess M. Lewis, like structured to offer business coaching. So I kind of thought, so I revamped my website. I did end up updating my LinkedIn. I still don't know how to use, I actually did create a resume. I didn't end up doing any training or certifications, but increased revenue. I mean, so this was like the job section, and this was like the business section. So I didn't get gig work, but I ended up getting a new job. So that was, I never thought in a million years I'd want a job, but let me tell you, after being self-employed almost my whole entire life, having a job is nice. So then from the business standpoint, increased revenue, we did not do that. Truth be told, transparency here, it was not the most amazing year for the print shop, but that's okay. And having a job helps deal with the fact that we have had a decrease in revenue, and it kind of gets us back to where I was when I had the gym and Matt was running the print shop, and we had kind of two streams of income. It takes a lot of pressure off of the print shop. It's been a stressful couple of years having that be our sole only form of income. So it just relieves the pressure there, and it opens up time for us to do the farm stuff. So while not a goal achieved, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, and actually I think is for the better, actually, the level of business that we're doing now. And even if it does go lower than it is okay because I do have a good job. So improve analytics and reporting. I was kind of going to try to get into doing more Google Analytics and reporting and SEO and all of that. And I did start dabbling in that at different points of the year, and just kind of talked to some SEO people and just decided like that is not the route I want to go. I still keep track of a lot of I have monthly reporting and stuff I do, but that's just not, and once I started giving it attention, I realized that I didn't want to put that effort there. And then this job came up and it helped kind of change this path a bit. I did try some paid marketing and social media ads. Did not work for me. This does not mean it doesn't work. It just, I was a novice. I didn't give enough time, and with time, if I would have put more effort into it, that could have paid off. I tried it, didn't want to continue doing it. I did update some of our email flows. I will say I feel like I did learn some new business skills with marketing and different things like that. I would say, automated or audited our website and made a few tweaks, streamlining our products. We can't really do that because we've tried. I think the way we have it is the best we possibly can after years and years of doing it. So this explore new opportunities, it happened. Like, I'm really happy with where I'm at despite the decrease in business we've seen with the print shop. I feel like we're in a better situation in that space. Okay, I need to make this video less than 30 minutes. Family and relationships, I will say, Matt and I do our weekly date nights. That's just, honestly, it's just part of our lifestyle now. And I did seek out new friendship with this job. Again, like I said, it opened up a lot of social interaction and friends, and Matt and I have been getting into the community with farm friends and stuff like that. So our neighbors, our neighbors are freaking awesome. So we have more social interaction and friendships than we did before, and that's been really fulfilling too. So that was a good thing that we achieved. Maintain health. My health has been pretty good this year. I will say I've taken more breaks from exercise than I ever have in my whole life. I am having owned a gym and been a coach and been a religious 3 days a week exercise workout person. There are literally been times where we are so sore we can't, and that has definitely changed our fitness level. We're farm fit now. Maybe not as kettlebell strong as I used to be, but that's okay. Seasons of life, things will change. Once we get through this big clearing project, we can get back to that. But in general, our health was maintained, both of us, throughout the year, and that feels good. I didn't have any goals around that. Become a reader and continue learning. I did not read. This one, I guess I need to clarify. I read a lot online. I read a lot of studies. I read a lot of articles about farming and marketing and things like that. So I think sometimes I get caught up in like, this has to be a book. So I'm going to check this off because I did a lot of reading and learning this year. I just want to get back to adding book reading to that for the new year. Okay, let's move on because I only have a few more minutes before I completely bore you guys to death. Financial in the past was all about, prior to 2021 and buying our house, was all about saving for the house and all that. And once we got the house, it was all about putting money into our homestead. Eventually, once we get our homestead our farm a bit more settled as far as investing in getting our land cleared and fencing and animals, and there's always going to be expenses. Farming is very expensive hobby to have. We do not farm for business. I would like to get to the point where we can put more into like double up or put extra money towards our principal of our mortgage. But right now, extra funds have to go to, I mean, we need a new roof, different things like that. So farm and home things are where our excess funds are going. We got our bank accounts open. We had to shift away from Chase Bank finally, which sucks because we love Chase, but there is not a Chase in this area. We needed a local bank, and we had to do some tax prep. So we got that done, and this was pretty good. For home, we did end up, we knew going into our new home we would need to replace our HVAC, and that sucker went out in August? It was really freaking hot here. It went out, maybe it was September. I can't remember. Got a new one. We did get new toilets in our bathroom. We did not do the flooring or paint the cabinets. I'm actually in the process of already starting that project right now for 2022. We didn't really decorate our home offices. We still kind of live in this very minimalist space, but hopefully this will change as we live here more. We did improve our garage gym. We bought our gym flooring, so that I wasn't even expected to necessarily happen this past year, but we did it. So long story short, 30 minutes in, you have got to listen to my cathartic, therapeutic reflection on my goals with you here on video. And even though I took a break from this planner for 6 months and took a break from actively putting down weekly action steps and daily stuff, even though I took a break from that, I'm really happy that just kind of my mindset was in the right place and my focus was in the right place. And Matt and I got a lot of these things accomplished. So I'm a really firm believer in no matter how you think about goals or set out to reach goals, if your mind is in the right place, your attention, and you put your energy into those things, you don't always have to write them down. For some reason, just initially mapping it out feels like a guiding light to me, and then sometimes just that's enough to keep me moving along, except for this area. So that is my reflection for 2021. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I don't know if you go through this process as well. If you don't, maybe this gave you some things to think about how you can go about it. But I will, in the next video, show you what my goals are for 2022 based on this reflection. Hope you guys had a great 2021 and you have a great 2022, and I will see you in the next video.